U.S. Fed seen pausing after Tame CPI data. Typhoon Kanon blows strong winds and heavy rains into South Korea. Explosion rocks Russian military optics plant near Moscow. Ecuador Presidential Candidate Villavicencio assassinated. India succeeds in reducing emissions rate by 33% over 14 years. Indonesia's capital named world's most polluted city. Hawaii wildfires burn historic town of Lahaina to the ground. International Whaling Commission issues its first ever extinction alert.
Hello, this is Jolie. Thank you so much for joining us on Funday News. It is Friday, August 11th, and here are your top stories. U.S. Federal Reserve policymakers are increasingly likely to leave interest rates unchanged at their next meeting after fresh evidence of easing inflation. A report Thursday showed the core consumer price index, which excludes often volatile food and energy costs, rose 0.2% for a second month. That marked the smallest back-to-back gains in more than 2 years, adding to a steady wave of disinflation in recent months. However, the Fed said it is fully committed to resolutely bringing inflation back down to its 2% target.
Bloomberg reported cooling inflation, along with moderating growth in job gains and wages, has been fueling hopes that the Fed can successfully tame inflation without triggering a big jump in unemployment. Several economists, including those at J.P. Morgan Chase & Company and Bank of America Corp., have scrapped their recession calls in recent weeks. However, Chair Jerome Powell won't go so far to declare victory yet. He has said that he isn't ruling out the possibility of increases at consecutive meetings.
Typhoon Kanon blew ashore in South Korea on Thursday morning, dumping heavy rain and pummeling its southern region after thousands of people were evacuated. More than 30 centimeters of rain has fallen already in parts of the mainland, and some streets were flooded. The Korea Meteorological Administration said Khanun will pound the country with intense rains and winds while slowly moving up the Korean peninsula for hours, while it's eye-brushing the densely populated Seoul metropolitan area.
Khanun made landfall around 9:30 a.m. in the southwest near the port city of Gyeoye, with maximum winds blowing at 129 km per hour while moving north at 25 km per hour. The Korean Meteorological Administration said the storm will weaken as it moves into North Korea early Friday, but the greater Seoul area would still feel its force until Friday afternoon. The KMA classified it as a typhoon, but the US, Japan and others measured Khanun with slightly weaker winds and classified it as a tropical storm.
A powerful explosion ripped through a warehouse on the grounds of a factory that has made optical gear for the Russian military outside Moscow on Wednesday. Russian officials said one person was killed and dozens were injured in the blast and sending up an enormous plume of smoke visible for miles. Local officials said the blast tore apart a warehouse storing pyrotechnics located at the Zagorsk optical mechanical plant in the town of Sergei Posad, less than 50 miles from Moscow.
К осмотру места происшествия приступили сотрудники Следственного комитета, именно следователи и криминалисты Главного следственного управления.
According to the local government administration, the explosion blew out windows in schools, in a sports complex and in about 20 nearby apartment buildings. Local authorities are investigating what caused the blast. Russian state news agency TASS said the Zagorsk facility is one of the oldest optical mechanical plants in Russia. The company is a leading developer of optical devices for Russian security services. The Moscow Times said it produces night vision devices and binoculars for the Russian military.
Ecuador presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio was assassinated while leaving a political rally less than 2 weeks before the vote. Authorities didn't immediately provide further details. The murder came as warring cocaine cartels have turned the once peaceful country into one of the most violent places in the world and made crime the top issue for voters in the August 20th presidential election. Last month, the mayor of the nation's second biggest port, Manta, was also gunned down.
Villavicencio, an anti-graft crusader and journalist, was murdered while leaving a school in Quito. According to one poll published Wednesday, Villavicencio was in second place with 13.5% support. Villavicencio, 59, was one of Ecuador's most prominent journalists before being elected to the legislature in 2021. He had pledged to renegotiate contracts with foreign oil and mining companies and to take a tough line on the drug cartels behind a surge in violence.
According to two officials privy to the latest assessment made for submission to the United Nations, India's greenhouse emissions rate dropped by a faster than expected 33% in 14 years as renewable energy generation rose and forest cover increased. The report's findings showed India well on the way to meeting a commitment to the United Nations Convention on Climate Change to reduce emissions intensity by 45% from the 2005 level by 2030.
Officials privy to the preparations of the Third National Communication (TNC) report said that India's rate of emissions intensity, the total amount of greenhouse gas emissions emitted for every unit increase of gross domestic product (GDP), fell by 33% from 2005 to 2019. India's average rate of reduction in emissions increased to 3% annually in the period 2016 to 2019. From just about 1.5% in the period 2014 to 2016. A third official said the report is yet to be ratified by the federal cabinet.
According to data by Swiss air quality technology company IQ Air, Indonesia's capital Jakarta topped the list as the world's most polluted city on Wednesday, having consistently ranked among the 10 most polluted cities globally since May. According to IQ Air, Jakarta, which has a population of over 10 million, registers unhealthy air pollution levels nearly every day. Jakarta residents have long complained of toxic air from chronic traffic, industrial smoke, and coal-fired power plants.
The Jakarta governor has devised strategies to control air pollution, but the pollution level has continued to deteriorate. Asked about Jakarta's pollution problem on Tuesday, President Widodo told reporters the solution would be to move the country's capital city from Jakarta to Nusantara, which his government is currently building from the ground up on Borneo Island. Indonesia is set to name Nusantara as the new capital next year, and at least 16,000 civil servants, military and police are due to move there.
Raging wildfires fanned by hurricane winds have devastated the historic town of Lahaina on Hawaii's island of Maui. The U.S. Senator Brian Schatz said on social media that Lahaina is almost totally burned to the ground. Officials said on Wednesday at least 6 people were killed in Maui County. Maui's hospital system has been overwhelmed with burned patients and people suffering from smoke inhalation. Firefighters are still trying to get the fires under control.
Oh my gosh!
There were reports early on Wednesday that some people jumped into the ocean to escape the fast-moving flames. The U.S. Coast Guard said it rescued at least a dozen people from the water. Maui County Mayor Richard Bisson Jr. said in a news conference that many homes and business structures were completely destroyed. Officials said it is still difficult to determine the true extent of the damage on Maui, and have warned the death toll may rise.
The International Whaling Commission released its first ever extinction alert on Monday to warn off the potential danger facing the critically endangered Vaquita porpoise. According to the statement, the IWC has addressed the issue with the extinction alert now to encourage wider recognition of the warning signs of impending extinctions and to generate support and encouragement at every level for the actions needed now to save the Vaquita.
Native and unique to the northern end of the Gulf of California in northwestern Mexico, the Vaquita porpoise was declared critically endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Red List of Threatened Species in 1996. According to the IWC, its population has dramatically decreased from about 570 to 10 in a decade. The scientific committee of the IWC believes the Vaquita population has a chance of recovery if stronger enforcement is placed on the ban on gill nets in their habitat.
Now let's delve into the news of Hawaii wildfire. Devastate, 彻底破坏，摧毁，毁 毁灭。The bomb devastated much of the old part of the city. Overwhelm, 压垮使应接不暇。We were overwhelmed by requests for information. Inhalation, 吸入。They were taken to the hospital suffering from smoke inhalation. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comments section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's news. Be sure to tune in Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Jolie, your host. I'll see you next time.
这一次加薪的幅度呢，我认为会是落在10%到15%这样的一个区间。跟其他员工最大的不同部分呢，是我能够就像刚刚提到的，我可以在一个企划案还没有生成的时候，我可以先有一个远大的目标，我能够知道整个 big picture 是什么东西。
不好意思。
我的针对于这样的一个认可度，我大概有70-80%的把握，我可以获得升迁及加薪。
Johnny， 那个非常不好意思，我可能要在这边告知你，你已经被资遣了。对，是真的非常抱歉。那可能要麻烦你在下礼拜5之前，就是把你的个人物品先收拾干净，这样。有没有什么事我可以帮你的吗？那如果没有什么问题的话，再麻烦你把你的员工证交回给原主管，这样。好，那如果没有什么问题的话，我们今天就到这边。真的非常不好意思。
我可以知道是什么原因吗？
有同仁反映，最近冰箱的食物很常不见，我常常看到你在附近徘徊。我买的面包也是买了，然后1个下午就不见了。你该不会知道什么？
我不知道。
What we do, master your English and become irreplaceable in the workplace. Join Funday now. No matter your English level, we can help you elevate your competitiveness. Funday.